this war field, storm through ash and smoke. Warpugs never waver, swift, decisive stroke. Camaraderie of armor, greatest thick as steel. Unyielding, undaunted, our destiny we seal. Good times rise with war crimes in the heat of battle. We shine, tanks still singing in the night. We fight with all our might.
Hey guys, did you know fan uploaded? X in chat for fan, guys. It's about to start. Warpugs, it is time, okay? We are sitting here, and I screwed up again. I put it at I put it at normal latency, so, you know, there's going to be some delay and stuff that you guys post, okay? Spoilers will get you nuked off the channel, just letting you know. Just saying, spoilers will get you nuked off the channel, so if you wind up saying something and then you can't say anything anymore, just know that. The mods are in. Quote of the night, listen to me, Jedi. I don't care about your politics. I don't care about your republic. I only live to see you die. Prophet. Are you fanboying for General Grievous? It wouldn't surprise me. It would not. Guys! Thank you, bud. Thank you, Prophet. Alright, so I find it funny that Seals Are Good uploaded at the same day that I was going to be checking out something from Fan. Speaking of which, it'll be on Patreon for members later tonight. Hey, Mitch, what's up, guy? Guys, it's time. I'm sitting here with the smell of vanilla in my nose. If you guys ever see these candles in like a gas station, pick one up. They're amazing, okay? I'm just saying they're amazing. I can't even. That's non-sponsored and I don't care. It's absolutely amazing. All right, so
You can only have it lit for about an hour.
Thank you, Peanut Gallery. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just mention the warning that'll give you a headache.
I have ducks. Guys, so this is the bonus episode, Unstoppable. Now, the cover art had a Space Marine on it, but there have been a couple of things that slipped through the pipeline, and it's kind of, this is going to have Grievous in it. This is going to have Grievous in it. And not grievously girthy, not grievously underweight, not grievously stupid, not grievously afflicted by lung problems. It is, yeah. Star Wars versus Walmart. Ryan, I would be in the front row for that boxing match. Avalon, please release Sevatar. I say it every time you enter the chat. Prophet, thank you, bud. My review of this episode, maniacal laughter. Oh, boy. Let's get into it. Guys, it's a fan with too much time. Star Wars versus 40K. This is the bonus episode, Unstoppable. Let's get into it. Boom. Let's go. Let's go.
Wat Tambor stood atop one of Skako Minor's towering technological spires, the winds of the roiling atmosphere howling past glass windows streaked with pale
Hobbit. Everybody loved that
condensation.
thing, dude.
The spire's summit housed his personal chambers, a sleek durasteel enclosure lit by a dozen humming lights that bathed the polished floor in sterile blues and whites.
We're here, guys. Prophet, unstoppable. He is unstoppable. One of only 6 survivors of the Battle of Hapori, circa 22 BBY. Dude, we seriously got screwed with the movie version of Grievous.
Outside, lightning danced
Rocks
along
burgers
the
for everybody,
supercharged
guys.
ion storms for which the world was famed, casting flickers of harsh brilliance across the chamber's interior. Every surface seemed to tremble under the relentless gusts, as though the entire structure might shake itself to pieces and topple. Yet the clamor of the storm went all but unnoticed by Tambor. He was completely consumed by his own frustration.
Oh boy.
The Techno-Union representative and separatist leader glided from one hollow projector to another, scanning line after line of damage reports that flickered in soft cyan. A short distance behind him, a super tactical droid stood at stiff attention, arms clasped behind its back, its 3 glowing photoreceptors taking in each displayed statistic with cool mechanical precision.
82%.
Watt muttered through the translator embedded within his pressurized environment suit, the respirator's rhythmic hiss accentuating his words.
82% of the Guard units lost to that Imperial incursion. This is intolerable. A full Republic battle fleet couldn't hope to do so much damage.
He tapped the controls on a curved console, and a fresh hollow image flared to life, revealing the outline of Skako Minor's battered...
Prophet, stop trying to hug Hobbit. Stop trying to hug Hobbit. Remember, we talked about this.
southern continent, scattered red pips marking smoldering droid production zones. Entire sectors of factories were either obliterated or rendered useless by the strike teams that the Imperials had sent down. How could 12 men, regardless of species or equipment, do so much in only a few hours?
Yeah.
Smoke still leaked from wide chasms torn
Effing chat
in the
for this
planetary
guy.
crust. The subsurface labs exposed like open wounds thanks to the total meltdown of 4 of the planet's primary plasma reactors.
The Empire retaliated before completing their mission.
The super tactical droid spoke in a metallic baritone.
All evidence points to the Space Marines attempting a core rupture.
Oh boy.
Guard forces succeeded in preventing that outcome.
Watt's lensed eyes regarded the droid with narrowed resentment.
They should never have gotten that close.
He rasped.
Then you go stop him. You go stop him. I'm pretty sure with your respirator and all that other kind of stuff, you might pose like a, I don't know, fraction of a second distraction.
We have planetary shields, orbital stations. Where were they when we needed them most?
The droid's faceplate
Getting
remained
fucked up, probably.
expressionless, its voice lacking any emotional inflection as it answered.
The stations held the Imperial fleet back until the planetary shields could be raised. They also stalled their forces until enough reinforcements could arrive to deter them.
The droid
Wat Tambor is the one guy who turned Echo into a conscious servitor. Oh. Oh. Well, I hope they find him. I hope they find him and have a nice chat.
droned.
If that's true, how did they land that squad?
Tambor railed, slamming his...
You know what? Tambor looks... Anybody from the 70s and 80s, does Tambor not look like Gumby who got rejected from art school? I'm just saying. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying. Look at him. Gumby rejected from art school. Just
his fist
saying.
into the console before him, and regretting it as he wiggled his stinging fingers.
Ha!
In response, the droid extended a hand toward a monitor, which changed from displaying Tabana gas losses to showing a distant orbital view of Skako Minor. An Imperial hammerhead ship blazing at ludicrous speeds crossed by the view and discharged 2 shots from its weapons batteries. The camera focused on the 2 speeding projectiles before they veered off the screen. The shields flickered to life across the entire planet shortly after.
Initial projections assumed these to be mass driver weapons, fired ineffectively into the wilderness as they passed. 6 hours later, we were made aware of the infiltration. It is now this unit's conclusion that these were the insertion vehicles
Drop
and
pods.
not mass drivers.
The super tactical droid reasoned stoically, but Tambor just shook his head.
Troop carriers cannot be fired like weapons. Even droids would struggle to survive such an insertion method.
He insisted. The tactical droid said nothing for some time before finally voicing,
The Imperium's weaponry was unexpectedly powerful. Perhaps this applies to their troops as well.
Watt snorted, a harsh, stuttering sound that rang oddly through the suit's filters.
Unexpectedly powerful. That phrase rings through every message I've received from the rest of the Confederacy this week.
He turned away, stepping past the console to a second station that displayed a rotating wireframe of the entire planet, ringed by faint blinking hazard markers. Over the distant hum of the wind, Watt could hear the drone of malfunctioning equipment, faulty turbolifts, the hiss of cooling systems overtaxed by the latest power fluctuations. He sighed, his voice a static-laced growl.
We almost lost Skako Minor, but the rest of the Confederacy fares worse.
He lamented. One gauntlet rose to
Not right
tap
now, they're
at
still
the
around.
holograms swirling around him, conjuring stuttering comm feeds from far-flung planets.
The Confederate Parliament has been largely executed through orbital bombardment. Nearly our entire leadership structure shredded like flimsy.
F in chat for that word choice, like flimsy. F in chat for that word choice because that's exactly what they were when the Space Marines got a hold of them. I'm just saying.
He paused, letting the words hang in the charged air. A faint crackle of thunder boomed outside, rattling the windows. Watt flicked his gaze back to the droid.
And to top it all off, Admiral Trench, General Grievous, Admiral Borvant, all reported dead.
He yelled into the empty space.
Lol.
We may have already lost the war with the Republic and simply not realized it yet.
Tambor went on, resting a gauntleted hand against his head. The super tactical droid gave a short mechanical hum.
Such a blow to the war effort will be.
It began to say. Tambor hissed.
You weren't built to state the obvious, and that is the last thing I need right now.
What do you want? Hugs and cuddles, asshole. What do you want? Like, you built the master of the obvious, and now that you're getting it, you don't want it.
There's too much to juggle, too much to think about. Fleets spilling past mined hyperspace routes, single squads of soldiers crippling entire planets, supply chains and entire logistical infrastructures completely collapsed. And if what Darth Sidious and Count Dooku have said are true, then there might even be Imperial infiltration afoot. It's one thing to hack our systems or sneak around our sensors, but they are apparently impersonating high-level personnel as well.
Oh.
We've already been ordered to report any sawing or communications of commanders we know to be dead directly to Dooku at once. No exceptions.
He vented as he rapidly typed away at the new console.
Not even for me.
Came a cold rasp from behind. Tambor jolted upright, spinning clumsily on his heavy mechanical limbs, nearly knocking over a stack of datapads. A cold dread seized him, radiating through the circuits embedded in his chest piece as his eyes fell upon the towering figure lurking in the chamber's shadowy entrance.
Hooray!
General Grievous stepped forward slowly, taloned feet clinking softly against the polished durasteel floor. The cyborg general was hunched, his white-armored plates dulled with scarring and blackened by soot. His cape, tattered and scorched at the hem, drifted silently behind him like a pale shadow. The general's predatory eyes glowed pale gold, pinning Tambor where he stood.
General Grievous!
Tambor stammered, his synthesizers crackling and needing hasty adjustment. He glanced frantically toward the super tactical droid, but the droid did not express surprise or alarm, and had already straightened its posture in formal salute.
General.
The droid greeted in a mechanical tone, its calm unwavering.
Your presence was not anticipated at this location.
It stated.
No.
Grievous rasped, his voice an all too organic hiss.
It was not.
Without another warning, the general lunged, kicking the head off of the tactical droid with a single powerful strike.
Oh!
Tambor struggled to regain his composure, falling back against the console he had been using and staring with wide eyes at the general.
Bye.
Apologies, Councilman. The enemy has eyes everywhere, and I prefer to be sure when it comes to the droids in my presence. Especially those who may think I need to be reported.
Oh.
The cyborg said calmly, almost casually, as he strode to one of the holo displays and studied it, the projector displaying a damage report of the Spire complex. Tambor flapped his head in a nod, his hands clasping and unclasping as he attempted to gather his wits.
Yep.
I meant no disrespect, General. It was simply... You were simply discussing Count Dooku's orders.
Grievous interrupted, voice dripping with false civility as he turned away from the display and took a measured step towards Tambor.
Oh boy.
I understand perfectly. But as you can see...
He raised a clawed hand and slowly closed it into a fist between them.
My death has been greatly exaggerated.
Tambor hesitated before nodding rapidly as the cyborg general's shadow swallowed him.
Yes, clearly. Perhaps I should report this development to Count Dooku.
D in chat for this dumbass. Did he not just get it out of his mouth? Did he not just get it out of his mouth? What did Grievous just say he killed the tactical droid for? What did he just get out of his mouth? You're like...
I'm sure he would be most,
He tried to say,
Bye.
his voice faltering and dying. The general released a deep growl, guttural. With a mechanical snarl, panels along his body slid open, revealing spinning servos, gleaming metallic organ casings within which pulsated flesh bathed in amniotic fluids, visible.
Tony, to be quite honest, the mechanicals would be like, okay, but is he still human?
behind translucent casings.
They would like him.
Cruel metal bristles
If he was human,
that
underneath.
hissed into place, spines forming of sliding durasteel, plates expanded and shifted as he reared up to his full, terrifying height. His chest cavity fully exposed to reveal his beating, cybernetically sustained organs. Tambor
Then
stumbled
they'd hate him, huh, but-
backwards, nearly tripping over the tangled cords of a nearby console. Grievous leaned forward, the lights of the spire reflecting wickedly in his narrowed eyes.
Look upon me, Watambor.
Grievous snarled, each word dripping with a barely constrained will to violence.
Ha!
Do you believe any creature, imperial or otherwise, could imitate what I have become?
He rasped.
Do you believe in magic?
No.
Tambor stammered weakly, shrinking beneath Grievous's imposing gaze.
No impostor could possibly replicate you. Precisely.
The general rumbled, the word echoing with more meaning than Tambor could know. Grievous slowly allowed his form to revert to normal, plates clicking shut smoothly. He adjusted the clasp on his tattered cape, his tone returning to its usual cold rasp.
Then we are both in agreement that contacting Count Dooku is an unnecessary, pointless expense in time.
Yeah.
He finished.
Yes,
In other words, Gumby, keep your mouth shut, ears open, say nothing. You might get out of this with your head still attached to your body.
General.
Tambor agreed hastily.
Of course, though I do have time to spare.
He began to add,
No, you do not.
the general said easily. Grievous regarded him for a moment longer, eyes narrowing thoughtfully.
You and your staff will be packed and ready to depart within the hour.
The cyborg ordered. Tambor blinked in confusion.
The pact.
Shut up and go pack. Go pack. You're getting out of this with your skin intact. Be happy.
General, what exactly are you saying?
He asked, already feeling a fresh sweat coming on.
The war requires your direct attention now, Tambor. Your presence and skills of your technical staff are required elsewhere. Skako Minor will care for itself.
Grievous elaborated.
But, General,
But, General, nothing. Get your shit and go away. Get your shit and go away. What is this? What is this talking backing thing?
Tambor protested feebly, regaining a flicker of his nerve.
the war it's all but lost. With Ratus Secundus destroyed, Grievous, we cannot hope to.
Before he could finish, Grievous's skeletal hand shot out, metal talons and twin thumbs closing around Tambor's armored throat. With terrifying strength, the cyborg slammed the Separatist councilman into the wall, pinning him there effortlessly.
Listen to me closely, Tambor.
Grievous growled, masked face mere inches from the terrified engineer's lenses.
This war is not over. It did not begin with the creation of clone soldiers or battle droids, and it will not end simply because a few pathetic worlds have been lost. This war has been raging for longer than your feeble imagination can comprehend, and it will continue long after every last droid and clone is dust. Long after you are nothing more than bones and scrap.
To reinforce his point, Grievous slammed Tambor once more against the wall, the impact resonating through the chamber.
Do I make myself clear, Councilman?
He said, a low, reptilian trill edging his every word.
Avalon, no.
Yes, clear. Perfectly clear, General.
Tambor choked out, his voice barely a static-ridden whisper through his strangled respirator. Grievous seemed unsatisfied and tightened his grip, metal squealing under metal as one cyborg brought the other to the edge of death, and then released him. Slowly, one finger at a time.
Good.
Grievous murmured, stepping back.
You will come with me and bring all your technical staff, especially those who handled the programming for the B-1 battle droids.
Tambor hesitated, his fear barely concealed.
The programmers? General, what do you mean?
Grievous leaned in, his voice lowering ominously.
The nature of this war has changed, Tambor. Our strategies must change with it. If
Yes,
the
he did,
Separatists
Red
wish
Eye.
to survive what comes next, your droids must be made to adapt. Your specialists will ensure they do so. I trust that is within your abilities.
Oh boy.
Tambor nodded, quaking
Oh, boy.
visibly.
Of course, General. Whatever you require.
He placated.
Excellent.
Grievous stepped away, cape sweeping behind him as he turned towards the chamber's exit.
Be ready within the hour. There is much work to be done, and no time to waste.
Tambor
So the things aren't going to say ow anymore.
leaned heavily against a nearby chair, but before the general could leave, he reached out a hand.
Wait! Where are we going?
He asked to the
Straight to hell, buddy.
cyborg's back. Grievous turned to look at him over his shoulder, reptilian eyes gleaming.
I have a new project for you.
He said,
On Hypori.
The warp growled against the hull,
Oh, boy.
a sleeping beast annoyed by the passing of his fleet. Its rainbow-hued tides churned and split about the bow of the Black Crimson. The massive, Baroque silhouette of the chapter's belated fortress monastery cleaving through the unreality of the immaterium like a knife through writhing flesh. Wreathed in streams of psychic fire, the ship held course, implacable, undauntable, unstoppable.
The droids have their safe search filter turned off. Oh boy. Antikira, they're going to the B1s are about to get a massive tactical upgrade.
At the prow of the bridge, standing like a tower of ceramite and hatred in motionless vigil, Davik Thun seethed. The chamber he overlooked was vast, cathedral-like, dark but for flickering cogitator banks and the stained glass displays of lumen screens and hololithic projectors.
Okay.
In that glow, the chapter master's black and red armor shimmered like a coat of bloody ravens. A suit of Terminator plate, blackened from centuries of battle, chased with red adamantine filigree and adorned with the grim trophies of 100 campaigns and 1,000 and more hunts.
Okay.
The argent claws sparked and simmered, even in their idle state, faint ghost flames licking the edges of each pronged talon, distorting the air around his hands.
Okay.
He was standing like a statue, his eyes fixed forward as though his hatred alone was driving their way through the warp.
That amount of pissed off, yeah.
Thun had not moved in nearly an hour. The bridge crew, as silent and as stiff as a funeral watch, understood why.
Uh-huh.
Captain Vordran, his team.
Caden, I'm going to assume you're talking about John Paul Jones. Because that man was a fucking pirate.
And their likely fate, transitioning in 30 seconds, Master, said a voice, cold and tight, like a braced wall of ice in the midst of darkness. Captain Camilla. She sat upon her command throne, her remaining eye burning beneath the brim of her officer's cap. Her face was a patchwork of old wounds, an eye patch of black leather shadowing one side of her face, her jawline marred with surgical staples, and a scar that crawled like a centipede extended from her temple down to her collarbone.
Okay.
Few could fight as many void pirates as she had, and come out with only that much. Beside her, a servitor groaned and clicked through the last stages of the re-entry countdown. "Brace," she murmured. "Helm, take us out of the warp." The captain added a moment later. The bridge lit with red lumen strips as the vast vessel tore through the veil which separated real space and the realm of daemons. There was a strain, a squeal, and then reality snapped back with the scream of protesting metal. "Raise shutters," she ordered a moment later, the sound of steel clattering as the warp shutters which covered the ship's viewing ports rattled and raised.
She looks like she's getting pissed off. I'm just saying. Thank you, Prophet. The Razors think they know hatred. Hatred drives you to fight against your oppressors. Hatred drives you to seek vengeance for your murdered wife. Hatred drives you to fight a hopeless war when all hope of victory is lost. The Razors know nothing of hatred. Grievous knows everything of hatred. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, didn't the Razors the one that chowed down on that entire alien world? Thank you, Prophet. I really do appreciate it, bud. A proper naval fleet, which is scary enough. Yes.
And there it was.
Thank you, Prophet.
Hypori. The planet filled the bridge's front screen, dominating the view with a brown, lifeless and ringed world, haloed in dust like the grave of a fallen god. But it was not the world that seized Camilla's attention. There was a rumble and a shake, the whole ship trembling as something echoed in the void around them. "Mines!" growled the sensors officer. "Density pattern irregular. No cohesive grid. Scatter and drift design. Intentional." Davik's eyes narrowed. Camilla's lips curled into something like a sneer, or perhaps a scowl. "They knew we'd come," she said quietly, her remaining amber eye skating across projections and view screens all around her. Then, after a couple more seconds, she spoke again, louder this time. "Extend warp shields by 45%. No more." The ship's generators screamed as the command passed through the deck. The shield matrix howled, overextending its reach with a sound like something screaming from far away. But Camilla watched with an unflinching calm and saw the remaining nearby mines drift outward, gently repelled, suspended in the half-real distortion put out by the
What is up with your eye?
extended shield's wake. Like floating leaves drawn into an eddy, it was the space around them which was warped to move, not the mine itself. No contact. No more detonations. Not yet. Then came the report from the pit, spoken gruffly and from a half-mechanical throat.
Multiple contacts. 2 enemy fleet divisions, northern and southern poles. Vectors suggest for burn.
Camilla leaned forward, fingers
Avalon, you wrong for that. The Timu Bailout, you wrong for that.
steepled, the claws of her artificial hand settling carefully over the fingers of her right. "Formation?" she asked. A pause, then the answer.
Irregular, non-symmetrical, undocumented.
Okay.
She exhaled through her nose, single amber eye cutting apart the hololith which displayed their relative fleet positions, and, with increasing clarity, showed the strange formation both of the enemy fleets had adopted. All the while, the knowledge that Captain Lyons had died here burned bright in her mind's eye.
Wait a minute.
They lost. They failed. They fell so quickly and so unexpectedly that they had not even had time to report their distress before.
This is the same planet that the Grievous was fighting the Space Marines on. Oh boy.
They had been already crashed. "They aren't trying to flank us," she said suddenly. "And they aren't trying to close to their weapons range. Those are personal intercept trajectories. They're trying to reach us, individually. All of them." She stood from her throne, looking around at the displays that showed her the rest of the battle space in more detail. "Fleet-wide command, restore normal shield modulation. And the mine grid behind the fleet? Detonate it. Do not target any to our sides and front. Scramble strike craft, wings 1 through 8. Designate mine clearing priority. Standard launch formations."
Okay.
"As you command," growled a burly officer, tendrils extending from the back of his head and plugging mechanically into his station. Another brief pause. The void swallowed the hum of drop hangars opening across the hulls of nearby ships, Fury interceptors falling into space like missiles launched from an emplacement. Their howling mass streaked into the black, weaving between the fire of larger weapons and watching their ranges as they engaged the enemy minefield. In only a moment, the back-facing void space lit in a wash of expanding plasma fire as the mines behind the Imperial fleet were torn from reality in a series of synchronized explosions. A wave of destruction blooming behind them, backlighting the formidable bulk of Davik Thun's primary fleet. "All vessels."
She's blown up the minefield.
Captain Camilla began to say, "Fire retro thrusters, half burst. Keep your bows aligned forward. Begin targeting solutions around the forward-facing minefield. Do not fire until I give the command." Ship compliance confirmations lit across her view, and she took a seat once more at her command throne, steepling her fingers, amber eyes blazing over the arch of her hands. "Enemy range countdown?" she asked.
Boy.
2 minutes to primary battery lock, was the answer she received. "Begin solution preparation. All battleships and cruisers equipped with them should prime torpedo bays." Davik Thun stepped forward then, his presence like the shifting of the very ship, drawing nearly every eye.
"They're ramming vessels,
He stated.
not true warships."
Camilla did not look at him as she responded, "Yes."
They seek martyrdom just to stall us.
The massive space marine rumbled.
Okay, though.
Her jaw clenched, the muscles twitching beneath the long scar across her neck. "Though they shall not succeed, they shall find their suicide." Then the countdown began to echo. "Weapons
Okay.
range in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!" She growled through grit teeth, and the black crimson obeyed, though it was not alone. The first line of torpedoes screamed across the void, trailed and then outrun by the crimson lances of the fleet's forward batteries. They aimed for the pathways between the floating death traps, leaving the forward wall intact. The enemy vessels, too weak in shielding, too burdened with internal fuel and ordnance, detonated like blasphemous suns. 1, 2, 5-9. An entire screen of suicidal constructs burned in a chain of starfire that blotted out the view for several long seconds.
Nice.
The truth was laid bare in the sheer magnitude of their explosions, and suspicions which had been all but certain
Fire
were
ships.
undeniably confirmed. Fire ships. Hollow things full of explosives designed to crash, to die, to take the fleet with them in one act of mutual annihilation.
Hooray!
Camilla kept her eye on their ranks as a thin,
How tall of them?
vicious smile cut itself across her face. Now we begin, she whispered, licking her lips, a thrill rising in her as she watched the first of the enemies of humanity they would face today die and be thwarted, crushed, rent from existence, and cast out of the game like the hideous pawns they were. Her true hand tightened into a balled fist as a knot of familiar hatred began to tighten within her. Davik Thun's eyes were embers in the dark. He had no need to question the captain of his own flagship, for she could devour most admirals of the Astra Militarum alive. Though not an Astartes, she was, as they were, a crimson razor clutched tight in the Emperor's fist, and watching her work was a privilege to be savored,
Nice.
not interrupted.
It's always nice when Space Marines actually give the mortals that have, talent and skill a room to do their thing. If this was an Ultramarine, typically every single time I've seen Ultramarines or Custodes, they generally just barge over any mortal that's in their way instead of letting them do their thing. It's nice. Cool.
The void stretched and burned with the scant wreckage of the fireship fleets, now defeated, destroyed. The Black Crimson led its formation like a wicked predator prowling the night. Behind it, the great ships of the Crimson Razors loom proud and dark, ready to do
Nobody's
their
a Taurus
divine
Arn.
duty. Battle barges, strike cruisers, escort flotillas,
Prophet, just don't get me started. Don't get me started, please. Don't get me started. Tony, she has not yet displayed the one key quality of Latara Sarn, which is abs.
and the many ships that the chapter master had commandeered from the primary fleet conjoined to become a terrible host, born not to conquer, but to punish. The wrath of the chapter was descending, and its approach was a silent death mark. Warp-borne engines cooled as sublight drives burned through space, casting plumes of flame behind the dread forms of Davik's ships. Then, slowly, the unheard roar of those engines began to fade and die away.
Rena.
And in their place rose a new unheard song. The sporadic thump of macro and bombardment cannons.
Sweet.
The muted roar of void-launched munitions streaking towards Hypori's frigid surface.
Thanks, Prophet. Fan has done something amazing here. We aren't anticipating the battle, we are dreading it because we know Grievous lives in what the Razors call him. Yeah.
The planet turned
Thank you, Prophet.
slowly, yet unbothered
Appreciate it,
by
bud.
the fleet's attack, as its shielded face
No, Avalon,
flickered
she's
with
like
the
4'11".
faint glimmer of planetary defense shields. Each impact from orbit sent a ripple across the barrier's blue, transparent surface, further illuminating the vast, shimmering dome of energy that wrapped Hypori like an opulent death shroud. The first shots had been probing, fired sporadically from the first ships to reach their appointed locations, but no longer. Already, the pattern was shifting into rhythm, the initial drum beats of a storm that would break over the world's defenses and never stop until it was defended no longer. Davik Thun stood unmoved at the prow, a grim sentinel of ruin in black and red plate, even his silence bearing a fury that seemed only just concealed. The lenses of his helm glowed faintly
All right,
crimson,
Kara.
the argent claws at his side like leashed dogs, twitching now and again with residual energy, eager, violent. He spoke nothing, but he seethed. Below him, the bridge bustled with controlled action. Strike formations were recalibrated. Shield harmonics were compared and mapped. Targeting calculations were murmured like litanies by tech priests hunched over their stations. The atmosphere stank of oil and incantation, of incense and the bitter sweat of righteous labor. And all the while, the bombardment continued to escalate, his eyes devouring every detail. "I do not like this," said the voice of Captain Camilla, breaking the silence from beside the Titanic Astartes, lighting a stick of blue low and placing it at the corner of her mouth. Davik did not glance back, did not ask her to elaborate, and she knew well enough not to test his patience by demanding such a routine. Camilla exhaled lapis smoke slowly, her ruined face lit by the flicker of explosive telemetry being projected into the air and across the command
They can already
screens.
see something's wrong.
"It will take time to breach those shields," she continued. "Hours at best, days more likely. Time is a luxury we should not pretend to own, Master." The weight of him shifted on the deck, plates squealing, though he barely seemed to move at all.
We hold space superiority.
He growled from within his helm, speakers echoing the words as he spoke them. "For now," Camilla replied, taking another drag of her high-quality glow stick. "But we do not know what will come while we wait for the shield to fail. This world may have allies yet waiting to fall upon us. Or worse, some trick buried in its crust, waiting for a chance to spring itself." She approached the hololithic spire at the center of the bridge, her artificial fingers clanking against the input runes with brutal precision. "My recommendation, Master Thun," she said, "is simple." She tapped the controls, and the world below surged into focus. "When the shields drop, we subject Hypori to exterminatus.
Do it.
Immediately." Davik's gaze narrowed. 1,000 campaigns had taught him the value of finality and the cost of it, but he had come here for more than just vengeance.
So we leave it at that. No confirmation of Bortron.
He said, his voice like a hammer falling down in a court.
No remains. No gene seed recovered. Nothing.
She did not answer right away.
If I was Thule here, and I had a seasoned commander whom I respected, telling me, wipe the planet out, something's up here, I think that would really carry some weight with me. I'm just saying. I understand where Thule is coming from right now, but a seasoned commander looking at me and being like, I think we should just wipe this place out from orbit. Yes. I understand Gene Seed and War Gear recovery is important, but still.
Blowing out another plume of blue smoke pointedly away from Davik. "And you believe any of them still live?" she asked after, tone flat.
I believe
He rumbled after a pause.
This is true, Reyna.
that I must know.
Camilla said nothing for a long moment. Then she gave a nod. Not of agreement, but understanding. "Consider it, Master Thun. We've already lost good Marines on this world. We don't need to lose even more," she cautioned, and he nodded, though only lightly, eye lenses still fixed on the world below them. "And if the time issue isn't enough," she added after a few moments of silence had passed. Another set of commands were entered. Her good hand flicked across the spire's surface like a painter's brush. The image rotated, zoomed, focused on the northern hemisphere. A shape emerged. One of such immensity that, for a moment, Davik thought he was looking at a continent-sized fingerprint.
Huh.
There, she said. Davik Thun's pupils widened behind his helmet, absorbing the fullness of what she had discovered. A fingerprint of steel, marking a 14th of the planet's surface. At first it seemed chaotic, endless lines and ridges, corridors, pathways, defense lines. But as the image was absorbed and sharpened within his mind, its meaning became unmistakable. A fortress. No, it was not a single fortress, but a hive of them. Bunkers, towers, redoubts, and even the repurposed shells of scavenged ship hulls were melded together, forming trenches and avenues which twisted like lines of coiled intestines, wrenched from the unliving guts of some mechanical, world-eating beast. Kill zones overlapped like interlocking teeth waiting to snap shut. Airfields, landing pads, fueling towers, each ensconced in its own iron pocket of overlapping defenses.
Nope, show them what five gum tastes like. Show them what five gum tastes like and walk away. Show them what five gum tastes like and walk away. Just walk away. Yes, Prophet, an iron case. First thought in my head. This is a setup. This is a damn setup. Okay? This is a setup. Period.
And at the center of it all, looming like a cancerous heart, stood a spire citadel, molded from the cracked, fused wreckage of at least 4 downed Imperial vessels. All of their intact weapons were present, powered, loaded, and every barrel, every battery, every long-range anti-void emplacement was fixed on the sky directly above it.
This is a damn setup. This is a damn setup. Repress, thank you, bud. First time you've ever been able to catch a Star Wars crossover stream? Is this like Halo Hammer? Repress, I suggest you go all the way back to the beginning of this. There's a playlist. You will not regret it, okay? You will not regret this in the slightest. Have they gone into some of the ancient Sith like Nihilus or Tulak Horde? Any of the Force entities like Aboleth, Night Sisters? No, Repress, not at all. Not at all. This would be if an Imperial task force got lost in the warp and popped into place during the middle of the Clone Wars, before Palpatine decided to pop 66. It is really, really good. And there's a ton of episodes, a lot of material, Repress. I highly recommend this series. Guys, this is a damned setup. And I understand completely why she's saying pop the planet. This is why she's saying pop the planet.
A central command node, Camellia spat, drawn from our very own dead. Davik's lips curled beneath his helm, a silent snarl.
Pop it.
They used our wrecks.
Yes, she said simply, arms crossed, enmity coming off her like steam from boiling water. The blasphemy fell heavy, but heavier still were the evident implications. A direct assault would become a quagmire. Even a direct flyover from space could amount to little more than madness. The central region is a kill funnel, she explained dryly. Any approach from above will cost us ships, even if we do ultimately destroy it. It would not be such an ordeal had we any way to restore them. As it stands, any direct assault on this fortress, be it from land or space, would tax our forces, and those are not taxes I intend to pay. Not when an exterminatus of the entire world would be more than enough, the captain advised. Davik Thun said nothing for a time.
Yeah.
His helmet lenses burned in the twilight of the bridge as the chapter master studied the fortress closely.
Don't be stupid.
Eyes and mind devouring its lines, its design, its brutal utilitarianism. He was more than just a Crimson Razor. He was a son of Dorn, a master of defense and a master of the siege. carnage. The chaotic mess of metal and guns was certainly not something he relished pitting himself against, but he grinned nonetheless.
You idiot.
What a wasted thing. A fortress sitting on nothing the enemy wants.
You're not one of Sigismund's kids. You're not one of Sigismund's kids. Okay?
To capture, only destroy. He gave a short, cruel laugh.
So, this is what the thing thought would break us.
He mused darkly, voice gravelly over the relay of his helmet's speakers.
What it thought I would throw my fleet against, like a spoiled child eager and willing to mindlessly spend my father's coin for no purpose. It is mistaken.
Camellia tilted her head. The it you're referring to is...
Whatever mechanical proxy for a general they have down there.
Thun spat, as though the concept tasted of rust and rot.
It wants us to try to take the fortress, maybe capture the world itself, to bleed, to break on its design.
Davik said with a shake of his helmed head.
It does not know me,
He added a moment later.
and it does not know the price I place on my blood.
Camilla raised an eyebrow, then nodded. Wise. She turned back to the hololith, eyes scanning the contour lines, the heat signatures, the energy readings barely bleeding through the intense bombardment. And then, her remaining eye grew wide. Wait, this cannot be. She muttered a moment before the bridge crew
He's not charging Dick first into it. He actually just said he's not doing this.
began to react. Energy dispersal is rising. Barrier integrity across the whole grid is destabilizing. Master Thun, the planetary shield is falling. And true enough, the bold aegis of the world-enshrouding shield, so formidable and unyielding mere moments ago, had begun to falter and dissolve. A quiet rippling spread across the shimmering dome, and then, as though cut by an invisible blade, it died in great swathes of flickering light.
Oh no. Ripoff, I can't be the only one thinking at least part of this fortress get the rock trick experience once Hypori gets the Caliban treatment. Perhaps. But who's sleeping underneath that thing? Guys, I think somebody's going to be trying to pay a visit to the Imperial fleet.
Captain Camilla rose from her command throne, the low stick still clenched between her teeth. Get the fleet ready! I want to begin a full bombardment in... She began to order. Captain! I'm sorry to interrupt, but we are receiving a signal from the planet, reported one of the communications officers. So what? I care not for the pleas of my foes, she shot back. Of course, Lord Captain, but the signal is transmitting our broadcast codes.
Wait, what?
The officer said in stark surprise. Before the captain could voice an answer to that, the sound of heavy footsteps scraping forward filled the room.
That can only mean one thing.
Davik Thun growled as he stepped closer to the forward view screen.
No.
Play the transmission.
He ordered,
No.
and none sought to gainsay him. Several of the data screens, dancing with sensor readouts and orbital trajectories, flashed red. There was a metallic hiss, then a burst of static, and finally, a voice. Took us! It was Captain Vordrin. A frantic hiss paired with the words broke through the bridge's speakers, and the hololithic display flickered to life. The image on the screen wavered, then sharpened into the battered figure of Captain Vordrin, his hair matted and dark with drying blood. Alarms howled somewhere behind him, red warning lights flashing across charred metal walls. He was out of his armor, wearing torn, plain clothing as he pressed a hand, trembling and encrusted with gore, to his brow, speaking in breathless gasps. It took us, he rasped, glancing over his shoulder at the sound of rapid, metallic footfalls. A staccato of booted or mechanical steps thundered closer with every moment. He turned back to the device he was using to record and began to speak, but his words and the sounds from that side came through distorted, his image blurring before coming back to focus. Interrogations, he finishes saying with a wince. Flickers of overhead lighting illuminated a corridor filled with broken droids, his hands still clutching the electrostave he had used to destroy them. Listen! His voice hitched, the auto failing again before some smacks of his hand seemed to restore it. We never had time to signal. I had to do something. The shield projectors, I sabotaged them. A savage glint lit his eyes, even as he grit his teeth against the pain. Shield's going down. You can finish this, but you must strike hard, the captain urged, glancing quickly back over his shoulder just in time to see a line of white battle droids come around the corner. He heaved the electrostave like a javelin, impaling 3 of the droids before the others began to shoot. And he was forced to duck his head almost out of sight of the recording, though his message continued, yelled over the sound of blaster fire. They're deep! Bunkers beneath! Standard exterminatus won't scorch them out! The alarms bleated loudly behind his voice. Then silhouettes of even more spindly droids appeared behind him in the half-light. Vordran's gaze hardened. Do what you have to... His final words dissolved in a storm of sparks as blaster fire raked the wall. The message ended. Camilla bit down on her low stick, releasing a thin coil of smoke from the corner of her mouth. She spun to face Davik Thun, her single ember eye meeting the crimson glow of his visor.
Crack it!
Master, she said softly, we should obliterate them now. One sweep of exterminatus, and this world is ash. Nothing to be gained from losing good Astartes in that metal maze below, she asserted. A ripple of unease passed through the crew. Fingers stilled on cogitator panels and half-whispered orders died on lips.
Prophet, and the trap is set. Chapter Master Davik Thun's fate is sealed. I do not believe for a minute that the recording is real. It's a trap! No. I don't think this was I think this recording is real. I don't think it's a recording. It's a transmission. And the Space Marine is telling them, don't just choose standard munitions. Blow this bitch in pieces. That's what he's saying.
Camilla was captain of the flagship and de facto admiral of the Crimson Razor's escort fleet. But Thun was master of all here.
Crack it.
Davik drew in a slow breath.
Crack
the intake hissing loud enough for all to hear. His Terminator armor groaned, ceramite plates shifting over one another like grinding millstones.
No.
He growled, flakes of finality already resolving themselves in his words.
I will not leave my men to die in the hands of those machines. If they are alive, then we shall take them back. If they are dead, we will recover their war gear and bodies. I will personally dismantle the machine which made their capture possible. These automatons seek to challenge the sons of Dorn in a sea.
I want to hit play on this, but I don't want to hit play on this because I am angry right now. Because Thun is a fucking idiot.
We shall show them the folly of such a challenge.
He boomed, rage growing with every word. Camilla did not flinch, though the lines on her thoroughly scarred face did deepen. Master, this course of action will cost the lives of Astartes. The captain would not want that, even in spite of
The captain just told you to blow the bitch in half.
it is unlikely they will survive an exterminatus, she advised sternly. He turned slowly, the argent claws twitching at his sides.
How many two-stage cyclonic torpedoes do we have left?
He asked her.
Enough.
1, she admitted. 2 of the single-stage cyclonic torpedoes, 3 virus bombs, and 1 vortex torpedo, she added. He seemed to pause, to consider, before shaking his head.
We have spent too many of our master munitions as it is. This world, it's not worth the expense of our irreplaceable weapons.
You are a dumbass.
Besides, Lord Captain, we are the Crimson Razors. We do not fail. We do not balk at sacrifice. If there is a fortress to break,
Yes, Hobbit, that's the
break it.
thing.
If there is an enemy to punish, we will punish them.
But to land on Hypori, you risk... She tried one last time.
I risk.
He emphasized, stepping forward with enough force to send a tremor through the metal deck.
I am Chapter Master. It is for me to take such risks, not for others. Furthermore, I am a son of Dorn. My forebears built impregnable strongholds, and I know how to tear them down. I will not rely on our dwindling ordnance and grant this enemy more than it deserves. Instead, I will ground my claws in its neck.
A hush fell over the bridge. At last, Camilla's uninjured eye dipped in acquiescence. "Aye, Master Thun," she said. "We can attempt partial bombardments and indirect fire from orbit, but the ships cannot linger overhead without suffering unacceptable losses."
I hope Grievous choke slams him through a wall. Okay? Because he's a damned idiot. Anybody!
She reported to him. His laugh was grim and humorless.
We will not need to linger. The entire chapter will descend. That fortress will be completely sundered. If the machines believe they have won even a moment by claiming my men, I will show them the truth of what it means to draw the wrath of mankind. Prepare the guardsmen. I will not hold back. It is my intention to end this swiftly.
It's gonna end. You are no son of Sanguinius. This guy's a damned idiot. He's a son of Dorn. Exactly, Prophet. He should know. Schizo, it doesn't matter. Oh, good God. He's about to burn an Imperial army to the ground. Oh, good Lord. This is fucking stupid. He's about to... Sigismund, Prophet, Sigismund. I know, he isn't a son of Sanguinius. Yeah, no kidding, Dominic. This is so stupid. Why? He's throwing the entire chapter into it and his guardsman contingent, and he's going to lose all of it because he is an idiot, Mitch. I don't care if his pride is coming in. Like, the second that you sit there Your trusted commander is saying, blow this bitch up. Everybody else is saying, blow this bitch up. You yourself are saying, blow this bitch up. Then you get a transmission from one of your men saying, hey, you know the standard munitions that you usually use to blow these bitches like this up? Use better than that and blow this bitch into pieces. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'm gonna go down there and fight them. Like, what the Since the beginning, Thun has gone off the cuff, made rash decisions, only smashed his way because his enemies have been dumber than him. True, Hobbit. Either dumber or monumentally weaker. And now, he's about to throw his entire his entire Imperial contingent into an absolute meat grinder. That is the problem. That's the problem. He's going to throw his entire Imperial contingent into an absolute meat grinder. This is stupid. No, Prophet, she was saying exterminatus the planet. She was saying bombard it and exterminatus it. In this crap now. That's what she was saying. Even he was saying it. And then all of a sudden he gets a... See, that's what bothers me. He gets a transmission from the planet basically saying, hey, look, rip off. Even his dude, even his own man was saying, blow this fucker sky high. Even the captive Astartes was saying, blow this planet up. Don't just use standard exterminatus. Blow it into pieces. This entire Imperial army is going to get mowed down. This is a massive fortress complex that even he's like, this is actually really impressive. You know what? I understand that ripoff. I understand that it's just dumb. It's just absolutely stupid. Prophet, I'm just going to say this. If the transmission was real, why would the prism be anywhere near the planetary shield controls? Prophet, it really doesn't matter. Because if I'm sitting there and I'm already leaning towards blowing this planet up, and then I get a transmission from one of my guys saying, blow this planet completely apart. Don't just use standard munitions. The guy on the ground was already thinking. He was already saying, they're going to blow this planet up. And then he got on the transmission to tell them, look, they're deep underground. Don't just use standard exterminatus. Use holy shit, fuck this planet in particular brand of exterminatus. And then he turns right around and is like, I'm going to invade now. Okay. Jeez. Yeah, the Iron Warriors would not follow this. They would not. They simply put would not. Thank you, Prophet. Yeah, he is in a lose-lose situation, Jack Stefan. He really is in a lose-lose situation, but at the same time, the commander has the right idea. The commander has the right idea. If you send down a contingent to this planet, you're going to lose even more. You're going to lose even more. You're going to lose so much more if you go down this planet. And Thule is derping like nobody's business. It is actually stunning to see how much of a derp this guy is. And Hobbit, you were exactly right. He has gotten to this point by fighting people dumber than him or far weaker than him. And that's the only two ways. Fox, I don't even care anymore how this happens. Like, I'm actually irritated. Because Thule is basically just being an absolute damned idiot. And I don't care his reason. I don't care his reasoning. The sheer fact that he flipped this, I understand that too, Tony, but at the same time, it's just damn stupid. Yeah. Warpugs, I'm gonna head out from here. If they decide to bomb Grievous can stall, like, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. They're going to get wrecked. They're going to get absolutely shreked. So Orion can bitch slap him? Yeah, Hobbit, I just hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't. I hope Grievous choke slams him through the floor. I hope Grievous choke slams him through the fucking floor. I'm just saying. No problem, Dragon Tamer. Guys, I'm going to head out from here. I'm going to go headbutt the wall for at least 45 minutes over this. Thank you guys for joining me. The next time we catch up with Davey, though, I'm hoping I see Grievous choke slamming him through a floor, because he pissed me off just now. Like, you cannot legally be this. Like, I think it's going to do a lot of good for the Crimson Razors to have him choke slammed through a floor, and maybe they'll have somebody come in and take over the chapter who didn't just finish huffing a can of paint. Fox Leader, probably at the end of next week, I'll be ordering it. Guys, everybody have a nice night. I will catch you guys next time. And I'm going to go cry, because this entire Imperial army is going to get wasted. I'll let it play out then.
Dawn breaks with the thunder of wrath, marching through stars.